All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So the New York Jets just released an article over on their website a couple days ago by Randy Lange. I highly recommend checking it out. Of course, I'll leave it linked down below in the description box here. But it's Justin Fields explaining why he signed with the New York Jets, right? What made the Jets more appealing, and kind of goes into some pretty sweet details. So again, I'll leave it linked down below in the description box to check out, but let's go over some of these quotes. So the first thing that Fields brought up when talking about why he picked the New York Jets, I think number one, Coach Glenn. I've played against him early in my career. I know how passionate he is about the game, the way he coaches, the way his players play. So I think that was the biggest thing for me. One thing to me that's kind of standing out here in the second quote, and I don't want it to sound like I'm reading too much into it or anything like that, but one thing that Fields did say first and foremost was the opportunity, right? The opportunity, I'm assuming, to start, to play, right? To be the QB1. Over in Chicago, you kind of felt like he was never really considered the guy. Matt Nagy kind of do or die season. We need a quarterback. Trubisky didn't work out. Let's just pick Fields. They didn't really build the system around him. Didn't really have the playmakers. Didn't really have the the structure around him. Fast forward, Matt Eberflus, Luke Getsy. No, this is our system. You run our system. Didn't really feel like he had the guys. Ultimately, did get DJ Moore, and that was a nice acquisition, but again, never really felt like that Chicago Bears franchise wrapped their arms around Fields and said, "Hey, you're our dude. We're gonna build this thing around you." Pittsburgh Steelers, as we all know, played pretty well through the air, on the ground, won football games 4-2 as a starter, but was benched. So when Fields is talking about the opportunity, and we know that Pittsburgh wanted Fields back, we knew that the Steelers had significant interest, and supposedly there was a contract offer out there that was solid, right? We know that the two contracts by the Jets and the Steelers were pretty similar. And if we think back to one of the reports suggesting that Fields was hesitant to go back to Pittsburgh because he was maybe thinking, okay, you know what, I've already been benched here once. What's stopping them from benching me again? Will they draft a quarterback early on? There was that thought there. So assuming that report is true, I think the opportunity for Fields to step in and be the guy, for Tanner Engstrand, first year OC, to say, hey, you know what? You have a really, really interesting, really good skill set. We're going to tailor this offense around your skill set and move forward. So I personally feel like that's pretty interesting. You look at a guy in Tanner Engstrand, first year OC, he's going to look at Fields and say, hey, you know what? You have a dynamic running ability. You have a good enough arm. You can extend plays. You can hit guys over the middle of the field. If you are protected, you can hit the open receiver. I've always kind of felt like Fields does a good job of just sitting back in the pocket, right? Hanging in there, knowing he's going to take a shot, and he's still going to hang, look down the barrel of the gun and say, you know what, I'm going to throw this thing, right? I'm going to stand in and try to deliver an accurate pass. So I think, again, with Engstrand looking at that skill set, you're our guy. We're going to take the offense and tailor it around your skill set. So along with Fields, I'm excited to see, the opportunity as well. But going back to the whole Aaron Glenn dynamic, Fields goes on to say, our relationship playing against each other means a lot because Detroit, of course, they've had a lot of success the past couple of years. So for him to want me here is definitely an honor. And I'm going to put it all on the line for him and do all I can to help this team be successful. Again, I think it speaks to the opportunity that Fields was talking about before. You just get the sense. Here's a bigger contract, day one of free agency, making it happen within the first couple of hours, with legal tampering opening up. You just don't make a move like that if you're like, I guess we'll take him. We'll take him for the time being, but we're just going to bridge the gap until 2026. If that was the case, just go sign Mariota. Go sign Daniel Jones, 1 year, $14 pay half the price for the bridge quarterback. Again, it really feels like the Jets want Fields here, and they preferred Fields over the rest of the competition. In regards to the Ohio State connection, Fields said, my guy Josh, talking about Josh Myers, just called me and said he was planning on signing here. Once I heard that news, I was definitely excited. And Ruckert and Garrett texted me too. So I'm excited to be back with some of my Buckeyes for sure. Obviously, the standout here is Garrett Wilson, right? All this speculation, Garrett Wilson trade requests might be coming. All the beat reporters keep on talking about it. But Personally, I think Garrett Wilson I think there is something there. I think there's something to Justin Fields, him having the connection back, with Wilson in college. But in the end, I think it's going to come down to Darren Muji and the contract extension, right? That's going to be the deciding factor here. If the Jets don't want Garrett, or if they don't want to extend him, then I could potentially see, some movement there. But if not, and Garrett's happy, Garrett wants to be here, and the Jets are like, hey, here's a reasonable contract extension to keep our homegrown player, and Garrett's cool with the quarterback position, like, I just don't see why, an extension would not happen at this point in time. And then last but not least, in regards to the new offensive coordinator, Tanner Engstrand, talking about his ability to, help Jared Goff further his career with the Detroit Lions. Fields talked about how he was eager to develop his downfield passing game. Fields said, I know I definitely have some untapped potential. I'm hoping to get there this year, and I'm hoping to put it on display for everybody to see. So again, just trying to read the tea leaves, looking at, the actions of this football team, it really feels like the Jets are saying, hey, you're our guy. Who knows? Maybe it might just be for this year. Maybe they roll him out there. It doesn't work out. Maybe we have seen the best of Fields. Who knows how this thing is going to play out? But I do know that I'm excited. I do know that, hey, if we add a right tackle, this could potentially be the best offensive line that Fields has been around, been a part of. I do know we have a wide receiver one in Garrett Wilson. I do know we have a stable of running backs, and it really feels like the Jets want to run the football. If you're a defensive coordinator out there and you're trying to stop the run against this Jets team, not only do you have to just go up against Breece Hall, but Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, three young backs that don't have a lot of tread on their tires, three guys that pretty much ensures that you're going to have fresh legs throughout the course of a game, throughout the course of an NFL season. All three guys can make an impact. All three guys saw time last season. All three guys, showed signs of positivity as well. Throw on top of it Fields' mobility, right? The read option game. If you're Engstrand, you can essentially run a lot of different RPOs, right? Fields out of the shotgun with Breece Hall in the backfield. Put Garrett Wilson on like a little slant on the backside. Boom, all of a sudden, the offense can really start to move quickly up the field. If, of course, all things, work out, and we're looking at injuries and stuff like that, but I don't want to go down that hypothetical. Anyway, it seems like Fields really wants to be here. And it also seems like the Jets really want Fields here as well. There's been some Jackson Dart rumors, right? Rich Cimini, there was a line of dialogue in his recent article suggesting that, hey, there's still buzz with Jackson Dart and the Jets. We had weird situation with Todd McShay. He puts out a tweet suggesting, hey, Jets, Jackson Dart, 7, there's buzz there, but literally the same day that he dropped that tweet, they dropped the mock draft episode over on his YouTube channel, and in that podcast, he literally says that the Jets won't draft a quarterback at 7. So, kind of weird there. I don't know if maybe he got a tip after that video was filmed or something. Who knows? But yeah, I just can't see the Jets drafting Jackson Dart at spot number 7. There's too many team needs. There's tons of better prospects on the board at that given point that actually fill needs. Again, going back to Justin Fields' free agent decision, one of the supposed areas of concern was the team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, drafting a quarterback early in the draft to, succeed Fields early on. If they did that with Russell Wilson, why wouldn't they do that with someone else? So with all these different connections with Fields to the current Jets roster, right, with Aaron Glenn, it really feels like he has the backing at least for a season or two. As we all know, the 2 years, $40 million, $30 million guaranteed. I just can't see the Jets like double dipping and saying, you know what, no, we're going to go with the developmental quarterback at picks in the top 10. It feels very rich for me. Very, very rich. Now, who knows what the Jets might. It would be easier if we had like 2 or 3 drafts of Darren Muji to kind of look at, but he's never been in this position before, so we don't really know how the Jets are going to operate here. But I mean, man, you can talk about numerous prospects that would come in and not only just fill a need and help the team, but also help Justin Fields in his development. So The way I'm kind of looking at the whole developmental quarterback position, like it would be one thing if Cam Ward was on the board or even Shedeur Sanders, but for me, I think the addition of Justin Fields takes that need away, at least for this year. The way I'm looking at this Jets, draft layout, and I'm not saying I'm right. This is just my personal opinion. Round 1, round 2, round 3. Those are 3 starters. 3 starters. However you want to shake it up, right? Tight end early, right tackle round 2, wide receiver round 3. Those are 3 starters there. If you want to maybe go Membu, tackle early, wide receiver, D tackle round 2, tight end round 3, 3 starters, right? There's quality here in this draft, especially in those middle rounds. So if you want to go after like the BPA best overall, of course, culture and system fit, but someone who can help us right now, instant impact, building block for the future. Warren, Membu, take your pick. Trade back maybe. McMillan. Tons of prospects make sense for the Jets. If you go with the developmental quarterback in rounds 1, 2, or 3, I'm not going to sit here and say that's the wrong move. Who am I to say that? Right? I don't have the ins and outs of the Jets front office details with the quarterback position, how they're kind of vetting this process. But it's at this point, it's not something that I would do. If we signed Wentz, Mariota, Brissett, Flacco, one of these, Daniel Jones, even one of these like stopgap bridge types of guys, I would still highly consider it. But because we have Fields, who's still young, and we still kind of feel like he has untapped potential, and we have an opportunity to actually help him and help the rest of the offense out, again, Membu, Warren, whoever, I feel like that's, kind of the play here. And if we do want to go with the developmental quarterback, I would much, much rather see that happen on day 3, round 4, round 5, where maybe drafting a starter isn't so likely. Now you can really stash someone there, and you kind of eliminate the whole pressure thing. Like, okay, well, Fields is looking over his shoulder. Is that going to rub him the wrong way? Moving forward into the season, you're going to, if the Jets draft a quarterback at 7, there are going to be, especially Jackson Dart, who is not, in my opinion, worth a top 10 pick. If you draft a guy like that, there's going to, just the media, the buzz, the hype. When's Jackson Dart playing? If Fields has a rocky performance, okay, what about Jackson Dart? Where's his development plan? Are we going to be putting him in the starting lineup anytime soon? And the fact of the matter is, take any one of these developmental quarterbacks, right? Milroe, McCord, Dart, Shuck. I think one of them will pop. There's just Dylan Gabriel, Quinn. There's so many of them that you kind of feel like one will ultimately get the starting nod somewhere. Someone will pan out. But the likelihood that all of these guys will pan out, I feel like, is slim. And if you start comparing Jackson Dart specifically to the quarterbacks around him, so, as we all know, this is considered like a quote-unquote weaker quarterback class, and he's not a top 2 guy. You take a look back at last year, he would probably be the 9th or 10th best quarterback in that class. And then fast forwarding into 2026, you got a lot of guys there, and Dart would probably be quarterback 5 or 6 next year. So again, 7 to me is way too high for a quarterback given the current circumstance. And even if you want to argue, okay, well, Fields, he's not a sure thing. There's always the risk of a running quarterback getting hurt and getting tackled, maybe, a non-contact injury. And the Jets have, clearly, had their bad luck with injuries at the quarterback position. Zach, Darnold, obviously Rodgers with the Achilles and everything that he dealt with last season. You always kind of want to have that backup plan. Dart could be that guy. We still have Tyrod on the roster. We still have Jordan Travis on the roster. I would much, the way I'm looking at it, again, 7, 42, 73, 3 starters. I don't feel comfortable taking one of those positions and swapping out a starter on this Jets team for a developmental quarterback in a quarterback in a quarterback class that doesn't really feel like it's the strongest. If you want to take one, I would opt for day 3, because if you take, say, McCord with your 4th round pick, and And by the way, the Jets have 2 sixths and 2 fifths. If the Jets want to take a swing on McCord to be that developmental guy, I would be okay with it, right? Milrow round 4, something like that. I would be okay with it because they're not going to be coming in with the immediate pressure. When are they going to be taking over? Even if the Jets want to go with a quarterback at pick 42, there's going to be that, because if you're getting picked on day 1 or day 2 of the draft at the quarterback position, whether you like it or not, those quarterbacks have expectations. Like Hackenberg had expectations. Geno Smith had expectations. You're thinking back to round 2 quarterbacks, right? Derek Carr had expectations. Like, it's not just like the late round Brock Purdy, the late round Kirk Cousins, where they kind of feel more free, less pressure to operate and turn into something, and they can kind of develop at a nice rate without that. When are you playing? We need you. Please save us. That type of that type of pressure. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.